Dear students, hello and welcome to my class. I think you all are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. This is Lavan Shokar. I am also fine. Dear students, today I am here to conduct the second class on chapter 12. And you know all, the name of the chapter is the economic indicators and the nature of the economy of Bangladesh. Dear students, before the start of our today's class, I would like to ask a question to you. So this is my question. Are the USA, Bangladesh, and Kenya same type of country? Yes, students, here I will give you two options. Option A, yes, and option B, no. Basically, the answer will be close ended. Okay. So, dear students, I think you will say the answer will be no. Dear students, I think you have got the main point of our today's class. Basically, today I'm here to conduct this class on the types of countries of the world. Okay, so dear students, before the start of the main part of our today's class, I would like to show our today's learning outcome. After the class, you will be able to describe the types of countries on basis of per capita income and nature of production. Then you will be able to describe the types of countries according to the World Bank classifications. So dear students, let's get started of our today's class. Dear students, on basis of per capita income, nature of production like agriculture or industry oriented, rate of literacy and education, availability of health service to people, economic infrastructure, there are three types of countries. The first one is the developed countries, the second one is the underdeveloped countries, and the last one is the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about all of these three types of countries of the world. At first, I am going to discuss about developed countries. Basically, developed countries are such type of countries where we can see economic development has taken place and development work has been continuing for a long period of time. Dear students, now I am going to show you the definition of developed countries. So this is the definition of the developed countries. The type of country where economic development has taken place and the development work has been continuing for long term is called developed country. For example, we can see the USA, England, France, Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Japan, etc. are the developed countries in the world. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the characteristics of the developed countries. The first characteristic is the high standard of living. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can see the high standard of living of the common people. So this is one of the characteristics. The second characteristic is the industrialized economy. Basically, in this type of countries, we can see they are highly dependent on industry. Okay, so we can say they are the industrialized based countries. So this is one of the characteristics of the developed countries. Next characteristic is the high rate of saving, capital formation and investment. Dear students, in this type of countries we can see the high rate of savings of the common people, and the high rate of savings of the common people is very favorable to form capital and invest to other projects. Okay, so this is one of the characteristics of the developed countries. The next characteristic is developed method of production and distribution process. Dear students, in this type of countries we can see that the production method is very developed, very modern, and the distribution of goods and services is very modern because they use modern technologies in production system in their distribution process. So this is one of the characteristics of the developed countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is develop socio-economic conditions. Dear students, in this type of countries, the socio-economic conditions is very preferable for the economic development. Okay, so this is one of the characteristics. The next characteristic is the developed and modern agriculture system. Dear students, in this type of countries, they use modern technology in agriculture sector, so they are able to grow crops, more crops from their lands than the underdeveloped countries, which are highly dependent on agricultural land. Okay, so this is one of the characteristics of the developed countries. Dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is controlled population and developed human resources. Dear students, basically in this type of countries we can see the controlled population. That means the mortality rate and the birth rate are very much similar, and we can see the people are highly skilled. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the developed countries. Dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the favorable point rate. So at first you have to understand what is called the favorable point rate. Favorable point rate, that means export will be high than the import. Okay, and in this type of countries we can see this type of foreign trade. So this is one of the characteristics. The next characteristic is the widespread urbanization. Basically, urbanization is a process to make the villages into towns by industrialization process. Okay, and we can see the widespread urbanization in these types of countries. The next characteristic is the political stability. Dear students, political stability plays an important role for the proper development of a country. In this type of countries we can see the political stability, and that is very much preferable for the economic development of those countries. Dear students, that's all about the characteristics of the developed countries. Okay, and this topic is highly important for accurate question. So dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next topic, that is the underdeveloped countries. So at first I am going to discuss about what is called the underdeveloped countries. Basically, underdeveloped countries are such type of countries whose per capita income is very less than the per capita income of the developed countries, and this type of countries are highly dependent on agriculture. Okay, so this these are the common things about the underdeveloped countries. Now I am going to show you some lines regarding the underdeveloped countries that will help you to understand the underdeveloped countries more smoothly. The countries of whose per capita real income is lower than that of the per capita real income of the developed countries like the USA, Canada, Australia, and West European countries are called underdeveloped countries. According to many economists, the countries where there is coexistence of unused manpower and natural resources are underdeveloped countries. Dear students, now I am going to show you another definition given by Professor Ragnar Narks on the underdeveloped countries. So this is the definition. The underdeveloped countries are those where capital is much less compared to population and natural resources. Dear students, this definition is highly important for the knowledge-based question. So you have to give much attention on this definition. So dear students, that's all about the underdeveloped countries in brief. Now I am going to discuss about the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. The first characteristic is the low per capita income and low standard of living. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can see the per capita income of the people is very low, so the living standard of the people is low. So these are the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. The next characteristic is the excessive dependence on agriculture. Dear students, in this type of countries, are highly dependent on agriculture sector. Okay, so we can say this type of countries are the agriculture oriented countries. So this is one of the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the undeveloped agriculture production and marketing system. Dear students, this type of countries they use very traditional weapons, very traditional tools in agriculture sector, so their production is very less than the developed countries. Okay, and the marketing system of agriculture goods is very traditional, so this is one of the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Yes students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is small and developed industrial sector. Yes students, in this type of countries we can see some industrial sectors, but these sectors are very small and they are undeveloped, so this is one of the characteristics. Dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristics, that is low rate of capital formation and investment and widespread unemployment. Dear students, due to the less per capita income, the here we can see the low rate of capital formation and investment. At the same time, in this type of countries, we can see high rate of unemployment. So these are the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. The next characteristic is the incomplete use of natural resources and manpower. The students in this type of countries, we can see they are not able to use their natural resources properly. At the same time, the people are not highly skilled. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is high rate of population growth and unskilled manpower. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can see the high rate of population growth, and again, the population is counted is one of the one of the national problems in this type of countries. Okay, and here we can see the unskilled manpower. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the weak socio-economic infrastructure. The socio-economic infrastructure of these countries are not preferable for the proper economic development. So this is one of the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the unfavorable foreign trade. So what is called the unfavorable foreign trade? Unfavorable foreign trade, that means the import will be higher than the export. Okay, so in this type of countries, we can see the unfavorable foreign trade, and this is one of the characteristics. The next characteristic is the dependence on foreign aid. In this type of countries, they depend on foreign aid, especially in the time of making budget. They have to take loan from different developing countries or the developed countries. So this is one of the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. The next characteristic is lack of mentality to take initiative and risks. In this type of countries, we can say that they are not they are not one to take any risks to develop their economy. So this is one of the characteristics of the underdeveloped countries. Dear students, this topic is highly important for a creative question, so you have to keep much attention on this topic. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next topic, that is the developing countries. So what is called the developing countries, dear students? In the middle stage of the developed countries and the underdeveloped countries, there is another type of countries which are called the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to show you some lines regarding the developing countries. So these are the lines. In the middle stage of the developed and the underdeveloped countries, there is another type of countries in the world which are called developing countries. The real per capita income in these countries is much less compared to that of the developed countries. Most of the characteristics of the underdeveloped economy exist in the developing countries. So that's all about the developing countries in brief. Now I'm going to discuss about the characteristics of the developing countries. The first characteristic is awareness about economic condition and initiative for planet development. The students in this type of countries, we can see they are highly aware about the economic development, and they have taken some measures for the economic development. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the availability of natural resources and possibility of development. Dear students, in this type of country, we can see they are trying to use their natural resources for the economic development of their country. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the reduction of dependence on agriculture and rapid industrialization. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can say they have taken some measures uh, to to give measures to make their economy as industrialized based economy. Okay, and they are trying to avoid agriculture based economy. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the gradual development of agriculture. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can see they are trying to use the modern technologies in agriculture sectors. Okay, and by using the modern technologies in agriculture sectors, they are sometimes they are they achieved some success. Okay, so this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the development of infrastructure. Dear students, in this type of countries, we can see the government has taken many measures to develop the economic infrastructure for the proper development of the country. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about decrease in the rate of population growth and human resource development. Dear students, in this type of countries, they have taken many measures to control their population growth. At the same time, in this type of countries, they have taken many measures to make their population into human resources. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the decrease in unemployment and elimination of poverty. Dear students, in this type of countries, the government of these countries have taken many measures to decrease the unemployment rate and to eliminate of poverty from society. So these are the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the reduction in the dependence on agriculture on foreign aid. In this type of countries, we can see they are trying to reduce the dependence on foreign aid. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is ensuring financial welfare of the people. And in this type of countries, the government of these countries have taken all of the measures to ensure financial welfare of the people. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. The next characteristic is increase in the rate of urbanization. In this type of countries, we can see the rapidly increase of the urbanization. So this is one of the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to discuss about the next characteristic, that is the development in social environment. Okay, so in this type of countries, we can see they have taken many measures to for the development in social environment. Okay, and they are highly conscious about the social environment. So this is one of the characteristics. Dear students, this is the last characteristics of the developing countries according to your textbook, that is increase in per capita income and standard of living. Basically, in this type of countries, we can see their per capita income is increasing day by day, and their living standard is increasing day by day. So these are the characteristics of the developing countries. So that's all about the characteristics of the developing countries. Dear students, this topic is highly important for a credit question. Dear students, now I am going to start the new part of our today's class. According to only the per capita gross national income of the countries, the World Bank has divided countries into three parts. First one is high income countries, second one is middle income countries, and there are two parts of middle income countries. The first part is high middle income countries, and the second part is lower middle income countries, and the third and the last part is lower income countries. So dear students, now I am going to discuss about all type of these countries. Okay, so at first I am going to discuss about the high income countries. So what is called the high income countries? Basically, high income countries are such countries uh, whose per capita income is very high, and this type of countries are highly capable to ensure all of the facilities of the citizens, and they use their surplus capital to the developing countries. Dear students, now I am going to show you some lines regarding the high income countries. The high income countries are recognized as developed countries. These countries are industry oriented countries. Per capita income of these countries are so high, after fulfilling all of the internal demands of the citizens, they can invest their surplus capital to the developing and the underdeveloping countries in various purposes. Okay, for example, the USA, Canada, UK, and other European countries, Japan, Singapore, etc., are called the high income countries. The next information regarding the high income countries is the per capita income of 2010 is between ranged from $38,540 to $85,380. Okay, so that's all about the high income countries. So dear students, now I am going to discuss about the high middle income countries. So what is called the high middle income country? Basically, high middle income countries are such type of countries whose per capita income is good enough to fulfill all of the demands of the citizens, but there is a long way to reach the per capita income like the high income countries. Okay, so dear students, so these are the lines regarding the high middle income countries. The countries which are capable to fulfill all the basic needs of their citizens and are being industrialized rapidly, and social infrastructure like education and healthcare are undergoing upward in development rapidly, are called the high middle income countries. But there is a long way to reach the similar stage of the developed countries, are called the high middle income countries. Okay, so that's all about the high middle income countries. For example, we can say China, Iran, Malaysia, Turkey, Thailand are the high middle income countries of our present world. So dear students, now I am going to discuss about the lower middle income countries. Okay, so dear students, uh, the lower middle income countries are such type of countries whose per capita income is less than the middle income countries. Okay, so this type of countries are called the lower middle income countries. Yes, dear students, now I am going to show the definition of the lower middle income countries. The countries whose per capita income is better than the low income countries but is lower than 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 the high middle income countries and have significant improvement in ground education, health, technology, and other sectors of economy are called the lower middle income countries. Okay, so this is the definition of the lower middle income countries. Dear students, for example, we can say five Asian and African countries, namely India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Egypt, and Nigeria, are the lower middle income countries. The next information regarding the lower middle income countries is the per capita income is between $1,050 to $2,340. So that's all about the lower middle income countries. So dear students, now I'm going to discuss about the lower income countries. Basically, lower income countries are called the developing countries. Basically, lower income countries are such type of countries whose per capita income is less than the lower middle income countries. Okay, so this is the definition of the lower income countries. The lower income countries are at the bottom of the per capita national income based classification of countries. These countries are sometimes termed as developing countries, but these are basically underdeveloped countries. Okay. So dear students, that's all about the lower income countries. Yes, so now I am going to discuss about the last topic of our today's class, that is the least developed countries. Basically, least developed countries are called the underdeveloped countries, or sometimes this type of countries are called the developing countries. Okay, yes, students. So this is the definition of the least developed countries. The least developed countries means the underdeveloped countries, but they are taking some planned strategies to overcome their financial challenges, and in some extent they are successful in front of increasing GDP, GNP, and per capita income are called the least developed countries. Dear students, for example, we can say Nepal, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Kenya and Uganda are called the least developed countries. So this is the last information regarding the least developed countries, that is per capita income is between $490 to $780. Dear students, we are developing countries. Okay, we are not the least developed countries because we have increasing our per capita income every year. Okay, so dear students, now I am going to start the new part of our today's class, that is the evaluation part. Here I am going to give you some question. Okay, and it will try, try to give the right answers of this question, though I will tell you the right answers of this question. So my first question is, what is called the developed country? Basically, developed countries are such type of countries where the economic development has taken place, the development work has been continuing for a long time. Okay, so this is the definition of the developed country. My second question is, what is called the underdeveloped country? Basically, underdeveloped countries are such type of countries whose per capita income is very less, and this type of countries are highly agriculture oriented countries. So this is the answer of this question. My next question is, what is called the developing countries? Basically, in the middle stage of the developed countries and the underdeveloped countries, on type of countries, countries we can see, and these are called the developing countries. Okay, so this is the answer of this question. My next question is, what is called a high middle income country? Okay, so dear students, basically, high middle income countries are called the developed countries, where we can see their per capita income is very high, and they are highly able to fulfill all of the demands of their citizens, and they use their surplus capital to the developing countries. So these are called the high middle income countries. My last question is, what is called the least developed countries? Basically, least developed countries is called the underdeveloped countries. Sometimes we can say they are the developing countries, but they are trying to improve their economic progress by taking different measures. Okay, so that's all about the evaluation part, dear students. Now I am going to, dear students. So, uh, dear students, thank you very much for watching me with your kind passion. If you face any problems regarding our today's class, you should feel free, and you should put your questions in comment box. And after the class, I will give the right answers of your questions. So, dear students, thank you very much for watching me with your kind passion. Next time, see you again. Till then, Allah Hafiz.